So the recording has begun.
Right.
Maybe we can wait for some.
Yeah, 1 more minute. I think Dr. Sunil has already joined. I've seen his
Yeah,
name
here.
on
Sunil sir has joined
screen.
long back.
Right. I've seen his name. Okay. 1 more minute, so that the others will join within
Okay,
2
sir.
3 minutes now. Good afternoon, Sunil.
Good afternoon, sir. Hope you can hear me. I'm audible very much.
Yeah. You are very well audible. No problem. So our teachers are joining. Only half of them have joined so far. They'll join soon.
Okay, let them join. No problem. In fact, nowadays during online classes, students also do the same thing. If the class is
actually
at 3:15, they may join by 3:16, 3:17, like this.
I think nowadays the teachers are learning from students how to join late and how to sculpt the class.
No, it's not like that. You cannot blame them. Even the students or teachers, you cannot blame because you see network issues. There is still we have digital divide.
Yeah, in our
even
case,
in our state, yeah.
Right. And in our case, of course, our regular classes are getting over by 3 o'clock. So they just get some breathing time. It's only 15 minutes. That's why they're a bit late.
Okay.
Anyway, a good number has joined now. I think nearly 36 or 37. Okay. 40% have come. Okay. Anyway, we are starting right now. We need not wait further because it's almost 3:18. 3 minutes we lost. So good afternoon to all of you. We are having another day of our FDP program. And today, Dr. Sunil will be talking on the importance of UHV, Universal Human Values, in the academic system. Of course, the topic has been posted to all of you. I'm very happy to introduce to you Dr. Sunil Kumar. He is a professor at the Cochin University College of Engineering at Pulingunnu, Alappuzha. As you know, there are two colleges in Cochin University, one in the campus of the university and one in Alappuzha district, that is Pulingunnu. Till recently, he was the principal of that college. As you know, in Cochin University, the principalship is on 3 years rotation. So he got 3 years and 2 months as the principal. And after that, he has stepped down and back to teaching as professor. Dr. Sunil Kumar did his BTech from NSS College of Engineering, Palakkad, in civil engineering in 1994. That means how many years back? 27 years back. Am I right? Yes. After that,
yes, sir.
1 year he worked, and then 2 years he did his MTech at College of Engineering, Trivandrum, CET. That was completed in 97.
Yes.
And after a short break, he joined the Cochin University as a faculty member in 99. Am I right?
99. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Exactly.
For the last 22 years, he is at the Cochin University as a faculty member and as a principal. And he has done his BTech from NSS, MTech from CET, and PhD from the prestigious Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, with a gold medal. That means he's academically very bright. And his experience is also vast. But why I invited him specifically for such a session is not because of the academic background or experience. I've been seeing the postings he has been doing in social media, and I could make out from the comments below that, from his own students, that he is a beloved teacher of the students. Especially when the flood has hit the Pulingunnu area, he has been their savior. And of course, you can read on his FB notes how he has saved some of the students from the flood. So he has got a lot of attachment to the students. I still don't know whether I had so much attachment to the students. That only he can decide, because he was my student. But Dr. Sunil has made a mark. Dr. Sunil has made a mark in showing his affection to the students and getting it back. So how to love the students, how effectively you can love them, that is something we can hear from Dr. Sunil. And I've got the proud and privilege to introduce him. I think he's the third student I am presenting in this series. We had a session by Brijesh and another session by Uma Devi. Since you preferred today, they have overtaken you in the session. That's all. They preferred the previous dates. So this is the third session. I'm happy to present one of my former students who have shown their merit and their effectiveness in the teaching career. And now let us listen to Dr. Sunil Kumar based on his experience and his background. Most welcome, Dr. Sunil Kumar. We have got now 49, how many participants? Nearing 50. It will come up to 60 plus. That is the usual thing. They are mostly teachers from Ahalia Engineering College. All our teachers who are not having exam duty or classwork are here. And then some teachers from other Ahalia colleges. We have got totally 8 colleges in the campus, plus some teachers from other institutions also. 1 or 2 teachers are there from the Ahalia public school also. So that is the background. So 80% of the teachers are with engineering background. So they can easily understand. They can gulp your engineering narratives. Others also can understand because they are seeing it. With this brief introduction, I happily welcome Dr. Sunil Kumar to address you. Please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for that lovely words. Yeah. So, in fact, Mahadevan Pilla sir is one of my favorite teachers. I have to say that in the very beginning. So when I said, you cannot request me, you can demand me anything. So as a teacher, I am supposed to pay back the Guru Dakshina, the kind of thing. So I have learned from him, so I have nothing to speak, in fact. I have nothing to speak in front of him. This is, in fact, my privilege to talk because of his invitation to a group of teachers. I'm very much proud about that. And he told one thing, that this is the third student of him who is presenting a lecture over here, rather a talk over here. Out of those my two predecessors, one of them is my teacher, Uma Devi. Professor Uma Devi, she was my teacher during my BTech program. Mahadevan Pilla sir is a teacher of both Uma Devi as well as myself. And I listened to Bridger's talk today morning. Mahadevan Pilla sir shared me the link of that. I listened to that. So I don't know what I have to say beyond that. Anyway, let me share something which I have been, I used to talk to my colleagues in my college and in some other colleges. So let me share a set of PPTs. Sometimes you may feel it like cliche things. Sometimes you may feel it maybe slightly different from what you are thinking, but whatever, that will be like a discussion. All right. So I'm trying to share my PPT. May I, sir? Shall I share my screen?
Yes, please. You can share.
Yeah, doing this. Okay. So in the meantime, to get a view of what is happening in the meeting, I shall join from my mobile also. Yeah, okay. I join from my mobile. But yeah, multiple devices. I will reduce the sound of this. Now I think it is okay. Audibility is not a problem right now. Yes, is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. So, am I going to the the presentation mode? Yeah, very good, nice. So this is the title of the topic. I thought, because I listened to some of the classes of the UHV by the ACTE recently, and I have taken a course also in my college to my students, the Universal Human Values. I thought, why can't I connect the principles of UHV to the student-teacher relationship? It is an attempt. There is no research has been done behind this. No pre-work has been done behind this. Whenever Mahadevan Pillai sir told me to, rather, he invited me to make a talk over here. I thought I can do this, and some thoughts which I had will be connected to UHV. Okay, let us go in the sequence of presentation just like this. Well, I wish to talk about these things in my talk. Well, many of the teachers would have undergone a course of UHV for sure. So I'm not going to talk about UHV as a course over here, but the teachers and the students' perspective with regard to their basic aspirations and how they are going to achieve their basic aspirations with certain experiences which I have in my teaching career so far. So these are some of the principles of UHV as you are aware of: right understanding, relationship, natural acceptance. All these things would have been heard of from the UHV programs of the ACT. Education is needed for the self, so we discussed something regarding this. Then there are 9 distinct feelings as the UHV envisages. So let us see if those feelings like trust, respect, to love, all these feelings are relevant in case of a student-teacher relationship or not. We will just explore into some of these details. It is I would like to have discussions in this say aspect, because I don't have any conclusive remarks regarding this. Everything, whatever I tell you, is going to be suggestions or my own opinions, and you can have every say. You can reject that, or you can accept that. You can say add to that. You can negate to that. Whatever. Yeah, that is up to you. Right. So I wish, like Mahadevan Pillai sir or many other of my teachers, the teacher should play a role, not a single role, but there are plenty of roles to be played by a teacher, and teacher should have social commitment. So these are going to be some of the aspects which I would like to possibly cover in this. This has been prepared. I mean, some of the slides has been actually copied from one of my earlier presentations. That is why you see this slide over here. So some objectives, because there was a time when in Cochin University, the the outcome-based education has been introduced for the first time. Ahalia sir also was part of that during one academic council meeting. So this kind of education has been instilled in the university. Now in everywhere, the outcome-based education is being practiced. So that is why I prepared some objectives over here to share some of my experience, to explore the aspirations of teachers and students, to impart some tips of effective teaching. I don't know if the tips are going to be effective or not, but something maybe like cliche, as I told you in the beginning. Something may be different from what you think. Yeah, it go on like that. And to invoke discussion. So if I can invoke discussions, if you can invoke your thoughts with regard to what I am telling, I am successful, I would say. At least a few of you. Okay, these are some of the possible outcomes. I think we can skip this because this is prepared for some other lecture. So yes, what are the basic aspirations of teachers and students? You know that the ACT says that, or rather the Universal Human Values Program says that happiness is the aspiration of every teacher and everybody. It is not related to teachers or students alone. So happiness. Are the students coming for happiness in the college? Are we sure about that? Are they coming to make a profession for, say, money for living? Teachers. What about teachers? Let us think of teachers first and then go to the students. Okay. So what is our aspiration? To choose this as a profession. Many of us would have come here. Maybe we say, I mean, at least a few of us, not I cannot say many of us. Some of us would have come to the teaching profession because we were not having any other options. So that whenever I talk to some of the teachers, they say like this, because I don't have any other option, I just came over here. Somebody may say that this is a stepping stone, so I can learn something over here. I'm a teacher, so for some time I can learn something and then I can step to some other profession. I don't know how many of us consider this as a perfect profession. Yeah, but there are teachers, plenty of teachers available which I can name. Plenty of them I can name today. So the 1 hour may not be sufficient for that, to even to name the teachers who consider their teaching as their profession and a social commitment. Well, somebody, yeah, you can see some teachers like coming to the campus for time pass. Not blaming anybody, but this is part of the system. So it is a group of individuals. So you can have different kinds of individuals available. So even I can name some of them, but I do not do that for sure. Somebody may do it as a part-timer. So I have teachers in my other colleges, not in NSS Engineering College Palakkad, some other colleges where the teachers do other work also. So they come to the college only very rarely, and they do their private practice. Like in civil engineering, there is ample opportunities for private practice. So just for putting their signature and taking their class, they come to the college and do that. So I have seen teachers like them also. Yeah. So what about students? Are these applicable to students also? Are they coming to the college for having a profession? Are they seeing it as a stepping stone for their next career? Are they coming with some, say, time pass kind of attitude, or are they pushed to the college by somebody else? So this has to be thought of. These are all some of the thoughts which I am just throwing out. But the last one is the most kind of ideal situation, I would say. How many of the teachers and students approach an institution because of their passion? Very, very rare, very few. How many of us have a social commitment? Very few. But the other way is too. That is, once we are into the system, we can we can make our profession like our passionate profession, and we can associate with some of the social issues. We can apply our say technical know-how and technical expertise to solve some of the social issues and become a socially committed teacher, right? And that may actually motivate and help some of the students also to become socially committed, say individuals in future. So our happiness associated to that is why what I am trying to connect the universal human with the universal human aspiration, which is happiness. Is it connected to any of this? This is something to be thought of. But if you can find happiness in whatever you are doing, we are done, right? So let us think of this in some different lines. So these are some learning objectives of the students. From the student side, what is the purpose of them to come to the college, and what is the purpose of them sitting in the class? Is it just to pass the exam? If you ask a student, even during our engineering, so some of the students would say that let us somehow get a pass in the examination and get away from this place. I'm not telling that NSS College of Engineering Palakkad is a poor place. I love the place for sure. I chose that as my institution. It's not because my brother was working over there, and it is not because of that, but I chose that as my, because I had other choices also. But I chose NSS College of Engineering Palakkad as my choice for my institution for my BTech program. And later, I loved the college, I loved the faculty members, I loved the circumstances over there, and I am proud to be called as a student who passed out, an alumnus of NSS Engineering College for sure. So it was not just to pass exam. Whenever we teach in the class, several times we say that examination orientation, right? You study this for your examination. You study, if you could not pass the examination, you are going to face this hurdle, that hurdle. So this is a usual cliche dialogue by teachers in the classes. So are the students coming to the college for even, this is a talk in professional institutions, so, and it is happening in the professional institution. So are they coming to the institution for just to pass the exam? And shall we permit them just to pass the exam and go away with a relatively good grade and a degree? So whoever is passing out of the college can be called as an engineering graduate, not a professional for sure. We know that. Are they sitting in the classroom only for getting their attendance? Yeah, this may be true, I think, right? In many cases, because there is a minimum percentage of attendance which is envisaged by the university and things like that, the students may sit in the classroom for getting the minimum percentage of attendance. That may be kind of a reason. But I listened to Bridget's talk today morning. He was telling that he guarantees attendance for every student. He guarantees that every student is going to write the examination, whatever be the attendance, notwithstanding the attendance he or she is having in his class. Excellent, say, thinking. But how many of the students, suppose if some kind of a rule is not there, how many of our students, this is our thought, right? Our ordinary thought, how many of our students would sit in the classroom? That is very kind of ordinary thought, but you have to think beyond the box for sure. And students may sit in the class for their friends. Some other friends are there, so I am also sitting. Somebody may sit for just for time pass. How many of them are sitting to gain knowledge, to gain skills, to gain values and thinking of placement opportunity or higher studies? Well, the students, they will do that towards their final year for sure. Right. This is our own experience. So these are something which all of us know. Nothing new. So far, I told nothing new. And when the students come to the campus or when the students come to the class, they have what is known as entry behavior. Right. In every class, usually the teachers check the entry behavior of students. Right. What they know with regard to the subject. Usually, when we prepare a syllabus, we give what is known as a prerequisite for the syllabus. This subject has to come before this subject, kind of prerequisites. So entry behavior can be checked. This is with regard to the entry behavior of students who are coming to an institution, not with regard to a subject alone. You can see the students may come from different backgrounds. So their kind of competence level, I would say the competence level of students would be different in different aspects. If you compare in terms of educationally sound background to having minimum qualification, that means somebody will be having, say, very good marks, very good grades for their +2. Somebody may not be having that much. Somebody may have just passed, but they have got good rank in the entrance examination. So that doesn't affect. Finally, the previous educational background may not affect their studies in the say BTech program or the professional program. That is what is seen usually. The students who are having very high rank, very good marks in the +2, they tend to become lazy because of their losing interest in the particular subject, maybe of some reason or the other. I have I can say one of my colleagues in NSS Engineering College itself. He was my senior, 1 year senior to me. He was from the southern part of Kerala. He was a very bright student. He was the son of two teachers. Yeah, so in an arts college. So, but in Palakkad, what we found him is that he was fond of just two things only in the college. After his first year, our batch came, and from among our batch, he found a likeliness towards a girl. So he was actually caught up in that. That is the first thing. Love is the first thing. Can I say love or infatuation? That is a different thing. So I don't know. Maybe it can be infatuation, it can be love, whatever it is. So he was caught in that. That is one thing. Then second thing is he has a passion of playing badminton. So wherever there is a tournament in Palakkad, he goes there and he plays badminton. He brings the cup. For sure, whenever he goes either as a team or as a single individual member, singles, he win the cup for the college and he comes back to the college like that. So these two were his passion. Rather, I cannot say the first was his passion. The second was for sure his passion. I am also a player of badminton, but I couldn't even get more than 3 points when I play singles with him. That is my experience. So after his batch passed out of the college, our batch was there for 1 more year, right? So we were 1 year junior to him. So when our batch passed out, he was there still in the college. At that time, you don't need to get a pass in, say, subjects to move over to the next semester. There was no kind of minimum grade. So at the end of his 8th semester and at the end of our 8th semester, he saw himself having 42 supplementary papers. 42 papers to be cleared starting from the first year onwards. So this girl also, I mean, he has got infatuation to one girl, and I don't know even now if the girl knows that this person was in love with her. I do not know about that. Well, that is the case. So it was like a one-way kind of an affair. What happened was after the girl passed out of the college, so this one kind of infatuation, it died out immediately. He realized that his friends were in his say junior batch, our batch. So once we also went up the college, he realized that he has to study and say clear all the papers. He was a very brilliant student for sure. He was a very brilliant student. So when he entered in the college, he has caught up in these kind of aspects. In another couple of years, he sat down in Palakkad and he cleared all the papers in with very good marks. And now he is in the US, well settled. He has been working in the US for more than 23 or 24 years, to my if my memory is correct. So he is well settled. That is a story of one of my colleagues. So I was just telling that entry behavior may be something, and what is happening in the college may be something. So had there been some mentor to him, had there been somebody to guide him in the correct path, he would not have lost that 2 years also. He was very, very brilliant, and he finally reached his path. Okay. So some may be financially very sound, some may be very financially unsound, some may be self-motivated, some may be redirected. So they would have gone to some other course, and they would have been redirected to this course in BTech in kind of engineering, whatever, professional course, from focused to non-focused. Now what is happening? Now what is happening with engineering? Those who say, some of the students are telling that they did not get an admission to BSc, that is why they come to BTech. So in fact, I don't know how it has come to that kind of a stature. Application of science is what is happening in technology based, say, professional courses, but it is not happening in science. Science is more close to research and other things like that. So anyway, we are not talking about any kind of scientific things over here. Whatever I am going to talk is only general things. So some students may be redirected from some other course, and some students may be focused on what they have to do. For example, in our college, in the university, there are students from North India, other parts of the country. So many of them come to the state of Kerala to study in Cochin University specifically, and also they're very much focused about what they are going to do towards their final year or after the BTech program. Right? They have some kind of orientation, and when they come here, they pester us. They pester the teachers for sure to get orientation and to get, say, clear certain doubts with regard to the gate coaching, the gate, say, questions, etc. So we have to work hard to actually cope up with what they are doing. In fact, that is what is happening. We are learning from them for sure. So somebody may be focused, somebody may be not focused. All these things are there. But the basic human aspiration is for sure happiness. Whatever we do, whatever activities we do, today I am talking to you, you are listening to me. Both these activities are finally for happiness, right? We want to make ourselves mutually happy. That is the purpose of this kind of a discussion, this kind of a talk, for sure. You are getting enriched, I am also getting enriched. That is what is happening in this mutual exchange of ideas. So as the ASAT tells, to be in harmony at all levels of being is what is known as happiness, right? So if we can have harmony in all levels of being, in the individual level, family level, society level, and nature. So whatever actions we are doing in all those activities, we are supposed to be harmonious, right? Like, say, respect is a quality, rather it is a feeling which is naturally acceptable to everyone. At the same time, anger, anxiety, fear, these kind of feelings are not naturally acceptable. We are frustrated, we are worried, we are not in, even our physical health also is getting disturbed because of all those kinds of feelings. So we want to have harmony. We wish to have harmony in all our activities. So in studies also, this is applicable, harmony in studies. The students have to be comfortable, very much comfortable in their classroom. They have to be comfortable in their, say, during the time when they are in the hostel, during the time when they are at home. And now it is a very difficult situation, as all of us know. All the students and teachers are sitting at home and conducting their classes. Some teachers are coming to the institutions and conducting the classes from their online program. But what is happening on the other end is not known to us. We are speaking to a computer, or we are speaking to our mobile phone, like what I am doing right now. We do not know what is happening at the other end, right? So whether they are listening, whether they are actually undergoing the program as we are, say, doing it. Suspicious teachers, they in between they ask, what are you doing? So this person, you respond to this question. This person, you respond to this question. They may roll call the students, say how many times in 1 hour class? Maybe 2 times, sometimes 3 times. Sometimes the entire time is spent for, maybe a major chunk of the time is spent for roll call and things like that. So the actual purpose of the teaching and learning process may not be fulfilled. The students are also very, very clever, right? During this online season, they know when the teacher is going to call him or her. And they will put a message in the comment in their group, WhatsApp group, that okay, whenever the teacher calls the rolls, just intimate me. I will come back to the session. So they will just switch it on, and they may go to some other of their activities. Okay, so we want to have harmony. That is this kind of an activity. You cannot say that is naturally acceptable, right? But they are doing it now because the majority of the students are doing it. They say that they may claim that that is also naturally acceptable. So harmony is required in every levels of being, for sure. Education has a major role to enable transformation. That is what the UHV says. Universal Human Value says that education is the only way through which we can instill what is known as value education as well as skill education. Skill education is what is happening in the colleges usually, and value is also to be added to the kind of skills. So these are all part of universal human values, the right understanding, right relationship required between student teacher, for sure, between parent and teacher. It is not that the student teacher relation is very important, but the parents are can be excluded. Not like that. Parent teacher is also very important. We have to have communication with our parents also. Now I'm also a parent. My daughter is also doing her BTech program in my own college. So I'm also a parent, and I'm a teacher too. And between teachers and teachers, well, in many institutions, say, especially when you go to the higher learning institutions like IITs or IASC or the kind of other say major universities, you may see that there is ego between the teachers because of level of knowledge. Ego at the level of knowledge is, if it is healthy, that is good. That is going to do good for the institution. If it is not healthy, that is not at all good for the individual or the institution or the students or the teachers. I have one of my colleagues who went for his PhD in one of the IITs. I won't say the name of the IIT. And he was a very bright person, very excellent. He won a gold medal for his master's program. And when he went for his PhD as a QEP candidate to one of the IITs, because of the quarrel between two faculty members, he has to come back. He has to quit and come back, paying all the money which he has already received from the university. That kind of things are also happening because the grudge between two teachers, between two professors, is actually ruining the career of a research scholar. This kind of things are also happening. So the relationship has to be there between student and teachers, students and teachers, parents and teachers, and teacher and teacher. Very important. I consider the last one as the most important, I would say. This is actually instilling harmony in the family called the institution, right? Family called the institution. And students are coming only for a short period of time in the institution. We consider them as part of the family till the time they go back to the institution, they go away from the institution. But later also we consider them as alumni, and alumni is paying back for sure. Alumni is paying back to the institution. Then parent-teacher meeting will be called on occasionally, so we interact. Even otherwise, we interact with the parents. So I don't need to explain about all these things in detail. We all know what is this. You have your own way of telling this relationship between all these. Right. Physical facilities very much required. I am pretty sure that Ahalia College will be very much facilitated by all kinds of infrastructure, other kinds of facilities which are required for teaching as well as learning procedure, laboratory facilities, hostel facilities, all of those things. It's a well-established campus. As Mahadevan sir was telling, there are 9 institutions under the Ahalia group of institutions, so plenty of infrastructure, and the IIT campus is also there in the same campus. So what I mean by physical facilities is not just infrastructure or financial or personal stability, but health. Health is the prime thing. If you're not healthy, you cannot do anything for sure. So everything else, including infrastructure, your financial, professional stability, everything comes only after health. So I just included this slide just to give a brief regarding what is being told by the universal human values with regard to, and I try to connect all those things to the student, teacher, and other relationships. That's it. 2 photographs which I have taken with my mobile camera. That is during 2018 flood in Kutanaj. Mahadevan was also telling about this. So this was like unexpected. Flood was expected, of course, because Kutanaj is a place which is, much of the places, 50% of the place is below sea level, as everyone knows. It is not alone Kutanaj, but say most districts in the state were flooded in this 2018 mega flood. Well, I'm not going to go to the details of that for sure. But what I am going to tell is with regard to what the alumni and what the students were doing during that time. There were, before the flood, there has been several fights between students and teachers. So several things were happening in the campus. After a mega festival in the campus, in my campus, a mega technical festival in the campus, there were some fights between students, between teachers. So immediately after that, the flood came exactly on 15th of August, 2018. On that day, I hoisted the flag in this flag post over here. So these rowing boats are coming to the college campus because the college campus became like a big rescue center at that time. 5-story building over here, it became like a big rescue center. So there were boats available straight from here to Alleppey to Changanasheri. Straight you can go. You can go through say the water to Alleppey, Changanasheri, etc. So there were 1,500 inhabitants were there inside this building. So that is not the important point over here. The students, those students who were there in the campus at that time, many of the students were sent out of that place, arranging motor boats, other kind of boats, etc. But some students, they refused to go. They stayed there. And in fact, they helped the teachers, including me, to rescue the people over there. Not only that, whenever the flood was subsided down, we have to do plenty of things to revive the campus, plenty of things to revive the place. Pulingundu is only a village in Kutanad, so there are plenty of other villages also in Kutanad. So we have to actually go for a revival of the place. Alumni helped a lot. All the students, whenever they are in the campus, they will be having many complaints. They will be having quarrels between each other and between the teachers also. But once they go back from the campus, they will pay back to the campus for sure. And this is one such situation where, when the flood was happening in the Kutanad, many of the alumni, whoever I approached, they repaid back or they returned back, say in person or in the form of money or in the form of other materials and things like that. So that is a memorable situation as far as I am concerned. And not only that, in fact, the flood affected, there were many of the houses were affected by flood. So the college helped many of the say households to repair their houses, to rebuild their houses, and the Rebuild Kerala campaign was also helped in a great deal by the students of the college after they come back to the campus. So the students have a very good mental. We may think that the age like 18 to 24 is the very kind of age which you cannot manage. It is not like that. They are very passionate with regard to doing such kind of social activities for sure. But give them the opportunity. Give them the opportunity, they will do miracles for you for sure. They will do miracles not only for you, not only for the institution, but for themselves also, but to the country for sure. Give them the opportunity. This was like, I'm not say considering flood as a menace, or rather it is a kind of a problem over there, or I consider this as an opportunity. So in fact, the college got an opportunity to rescue several of them. Okay, now we just slip over to the teachers' perspectives with regard to what we are doing. So say some of the tips which I can give you with regard to the classroom teaching or other kind of teaching is actually starting from here. A very few things only. Many of things are known to you, and many of things would be different from what you actually think, as I told you in the beginning. And all these are also kind of suggestions only. There are no kind of concrete principles over here. All right. So class control, we require self-confidence. Unless I am confident that what I am speaking right now is from my own side, rather from my own experience, I cannot do this, right? I cannot do a research. I can read, study several things, by heart things, and speak over here. Very difficult. So we have to have self-confidence, and that is coming from subject knowledge for sure. Whenever we are standing in the class to impart certain knowledge as well as certain skills, we have to have subject knowledge, and that gives us self-confidence. Experience is very much required. Mahadavan Professor was asking yesterday, I was there in the meeting yesterday also for some time, so he was asking how many years are required for a teacher to become an experienced person. The time differs for different person as far as say, in my opinion. It may be 1 year for somebody. Somebody may be born teachers likewise. I mean, they would have been seeing the teachers and they would be imitating us. Actually, in the beginning, what do? We imitate our teachers. We imitate what the elders are doing, like a child. And later, we find our own kind of way of doing things. So experience plays a major role. Some teachers may take 5 years to become rather a matured kind of a teacher. Somebody may take even more than that. And I know some of the teachers, even after 25 years, in my perspective, they are not matured. So that is, it's a different scenario. It is not going to affect our presentation for sure. Rapport is very important with the students. Well, in online teaching and learning process, establishing rapport is a very difficult job. I would say it is a very whatever kind of gimmicks you are going to play, it is very difficult to get rapport. You can play videos, you can play. I mean, even the interesting subjects you can play. I mean, you can tell stories, you can show figures, you can draw something, you can do that, you can do this. But rapport, that depends upon whether the student is interested to hear what you are telling, and moreover, what is happening around him. We do not know that what is happening around him. So if it is in a classroom, whatever I am telling will be having some kind of a value. Rapport with the students is very important. Now for that, what do we do? How do we start a class? How do we start a class? Do we go and straight away tell them that this is a syllabus? You open the book, write this thing, write that thing. After 1 hour, close the book and go to the next class. That's it. I was a teacher like that. In my initial years, I was like that. In the second year of my teaching in Cochin University, I have been teaching in other colleges also. In fact, I started my teaching at the age of 21 years. But that was not in an engineering college. It was in an industrial training center. That is the third level of engineering, as we know. And then I stepped into, after my industrial training center teaching, I did my, that was a gap between my BTech and my MTech program, just 2 months to 3 months, that's all. And after that, I did my master's program in CET, Trivandrum Engineering College, and then I went on to teach in a polytechnic. So it was just gradual stepping as far as I'm concerned. Polytechnic is the middle level of engineering as well, you know. Technicians are being produced from there. So to establish rapport with the students, it was very difficult to get rapport in industrial training centers or in polytechnics. So there, the only way is to, in my say ITC tenure, I was allowed to use the stick, you know, the stick in the classroom, like in a school class. At that time, sticks were used in the school classroom to install what is known as discipline in the classroom. So in ITC class also, sticks were allowed. But I never used it, for sure. I have been say having a stick with me because that is a mandatory thing to go to your class, like a chalk piece. You have to have a stick with you to go to the class. So with the stick, I go to the class. If I keep it on the table, I never use it. But to have rapport with the students, what I was doing at that time was, I mean, you can tell stories, you can do this thing. What I was doing is, I bring one of the students to the stage and ask him or her to sing a song. Not the kind of say subject. You can sing a song. You can do whatever kind of art item you know. Just do that. And after that, along that line, so whatever he or she is doing along that line, I starts my class and then go on with maybe a kind of a story or kind of a small theory. I just go on just like that. That is a kind of techniques which I have been using in my initial classes. But later, when I came to the RIT Pambadi for my first teaching job in engineering college, and later to Cochin University. In the second year of my Cochin University assignment, I went to an industrial visit, a tour with my students. So during that time, there was discussion with the students as well as teachers. So what the teachers were supposed to do, what the students were supposed to envisage, or what is aspiration of students, things like that. Then one of the students was telling about my class. So it is a girl. She told that, I thought this is just like any other class. So I just sit leisurely in the classroom. And then some of my colleagues told that she joined late to the college. Okay, that is why. So some of her colleagues told that no, this Sunil Kumar is coming to the class. You have to be very alert, right? He is very disciplined. You cannot move this way, that way. You cannot move even your eye. If you look outside, he will catch you. So things like that were told to the girl. And when I came, she realized that this is a kind of a package, a 1 hour package. The man comes, he starts his class, he looks at the class like with a very sharp eye. So everyone is supposed to look to him, and they have to hold their breath for the 1 hour time. And at the strike of the bell, he fades away. That's all. That's the class. Oh, I realized that is not a good thing. What I am doing in the classroom was not a good thing. That is not a good experience as far as I'm concerned. So I have to change my behavior from then. Even the looks are also being watched by the students. That is also carrying some meaning to the students. So the way you look, the way you converse with the students, your facial expressions, everything matters. Everything matters. So rapport your eye contact with the student. This is applicable only in case of offline classes for sure. Interaction, involvement, how much you are interacting with the students, how much involvement you have in the subject, and how much involvement you are making the students to have in their classes and things like that. How many kind of examples can you connect with whatever you are telling? How many kind of, say, you can connect the examples of your surroundings for sure. In case of civil engineering, you can connect the examples like, say, the building, the room in which your classroom is situated. The room has certain components for sure. So how many components of the room, how many components of that building are structural components, how many of them are non-structural components, what is the material by which the building is made, the door is made, the window is made, or the maybe the wall is made, the floor is made, what is the depth of foundation. These things could be just thrown off whenever we discuss about, say, the building technology class or some other kind of, say, structural classes. Okay, and you can just show them outside. That in the outside there is something. There is a column standing over there. There is a basketball. There is a basketball court in front of our college. So we can show that the basketball post is made of trusses. So kind of just very small examples only, and you can, from there you can go to very high-rise structures or other kind of big structures which you can make like an example. And the social issues which you have nearby, for example, water is a menace in Kutanad for sure, right? But at the same time, water is a boon for Kutanad. So how do you make a compromise between these conflicts? Drinking water is a scarcity in the place. How do you make drinking water from the abundance of water available? So these things you can, you can have kind of examples for any kind of subjects. Agriculture is the main job of the people in Kutanad. So why can't we mechanized agriculture with small kind of mechanical equipment? So mechanical students also will be getting kind of elevated because of such kind of examples which are surrounding them. So the problems are there with whose solutions are could be sought through the technological skills which they are learning. So that kind of an education is to be instilled in the students. And when you tell your stories, you can tell stories of failure also. It is not that you are supposed to tell always stories of success. There are stories of failures also. Whenever I go to the college, to a course, to teach a course, my first class will be like my experience in NSS in College of Engineering will be exposed over there. I tell them that I joined late to my college, and at that time when I joined the college, the students have undergone at least 2.5 months of class, so I couldn't understand anything in the beginning. And my first teacher, I tell regarding the first teacher, the question which he asked in the beginning, and the subject which I was learning in the beginning, the subject was engineering mechanics. And whenever I got an opportunity to teach the students of BTech program, the first subject which I got also was engineering mechanics. So that is like a coincidence only. So I tell my experience to my students just like that. So I was a failure in the beginning for that subject. I tell them that for that subject, engineering mechanics, which I am teaching for the current students, I got a just pass at that time because information was not sufficient, the learning was not sufficient, and the reproduction to the examination was also not sufficient. So I was a just pass at that time during my engineering mechanics examination, but it is not the case with some other subjects. So you can also tell the stories of failures of you, and students are mostly interested to listen to your failures than your success. This is my experience. They'll be interested to listen to your failures, your foolish things like that. So it is not a bad thing to share your failures, but you have to make something out of that. That is an important thing. You can ask questions, you can have breaks in between. Never humiliate a child, for sure. Nobody among us would like to get humiliated. So whenever somebody, say, makes a problem inside the class, disturbs the class for some reason or the other, do not humiliate them. There are other ways of handling them. So because of time constraint, I'm not going to the details of all these things. Handle with care, associated to humiliation, no humiliation. So the mind of every child is very precious. You can destroy this maybe with a single word, or with a single sentence, or with a single statement, or maybe with a single evaluation. But you have to handle the child with care. Maybe an advice which you give, rather a statement which you make, the students may remember it forever, but the teacher may forget it for sure, right? I have plenty of examples available, but because of limited time, I'm not going to those kind of examples. We have to, of course, ensure discipline, but the class control is not depending upon. In my earlier class, what I used to do is I just tap on the desk with my palm to ensure discipline. Will that ensure any kind of discipline? Not sure. Suddenly, because of fear, all the students would say become silent immediately. But that is not kind of a discipline. We have to ensure discipline in a naturally acceptable way. That is where the human values comes into play. Whatever is naturally acceptable will be like harmony in the classroom, right? We do not want anyone to say make a noise in the class. So for that, what shall be done? We have to be very thorough about our subjects for sure. We have to deliver it in a fashion so that the students are assimilating things. We have to make sure that you can have in between. You can ask somebody to say do something other than the regular course of action if it is a 2-hour class, especially. So that is what is known as breaks or breaks. So if it is boring, if you feel that it is completely boring, then put a sudden break. Rather put a break, a gradual break, and stop the class. That is also very good. Okay, examination orientation. Usually, when I go to the classroom, I say that if you just want to pass the examination, every information is available in the internet, with the textbooks or the e-resources. There are plenty of notes also available, plenty of videos available for any subject. You do not need to come to the classroom for just getting a pass in the examination, and also for getting attendance in the classroom. But I'm going to share my experience, whatever I have been doing for the past 20 years or so, or 22 years or so, I would like to share with you with regard to this subject. What I am talking maybe in this class, maybe you may not be able to find everything in a textbook, but those things are from my projects, from my other experiences. So I can share with you, and you can also contribute to that. That is how the classes go on many a times. Of course, these are the distinct feelings. I'm not going to go detail into this. We know what is trust, right? It is defined in the Universal Human Value Program as to be assured that the other wants to make me happy. Can we assure this? Very difficult. We can assure that we want to make, say, ourselves happy. We want to make others also happy. But can we make that the others want to make ourselves happy? If you can assure that, then you can trust that person. Right, and here comes the difference between intention and competence. This is something very important. So because of the importance, I just include this and I go on from the slide for sure after this. So intention is our natural acceptance, and that is for sure same for everyone. To be assured that the intention of the other is always correct, can we assure that? And competence is different. So everyone will be having different competence. So what we are supposed to do is, I have to improve my competence from you. And maybe you can get some amount of competence from what I say, possibly. So it's a mutually exchanging process. Competence can be improved if your competence is if it is lacking something, you can get it from somebody else. So you can go on like that. Students also will be lacking competence, so we have to improve that. We generally evaluate ourselves based on our intention and the others based on their competence. This is what we do, right? We assume that our intention is very correct, but we assume that we never think of the intention of the other person, but we measure them, evaluate them based on their competence. That has to be changed. We seldom look at our competence and others' intention. If you have trust on intention, we try to improve our competence and help improving the competence of the other. This is part of the Universal Human Value Program. Respect is something which is known to us. It is right evaluation. Not over evaluation, it is not under evaluation, it is not otherwise evaluation. Looking at the dress of a person, can you evaluate a person? Say a student may be neatly dressed, maybe in the first class, you may think that he is a studious person. Will that be true? Not at all. I have teachers who come with, say, rubber slippers to the classroom, but excellent teachers for sure. You cannot evaluate a person by his attire for sure. The knowledge in him will be for sure will be different. So that is what is meant by these things. So whenever the evaluation is not right, it is disrespect to the other. A grave mistake is evaluating the human being. A grave mistake is evaluating the human being in terms of the body only. That is what I was telling. You cannot overestimate somebody. You cannot think, even if the person is coming with slippers and say kind of ugly kind of a shirt, you cannot think that you cannot undervalue the person. Those things are applicable over here. With the say, if somebody is coming with a tip-top kind of a tie to his neck, you cannot think that he is a knowledgeable person. So this is what is known as respect, right evaluation. That is what is known as respect. So over a period of time, we can get to know about the students, and respect is not a thing which is something which is sought from the students. We have to give them also respect, because every person is knowledgeable. Every person is skillful in some way or the other. So we have to learn something from them also. That is what I am telling. All these things, affection, care, guidance, reverence, glory, gratitude, and love. These are the distinct feelings for sure. Affection, other feelings. So we have talked about two of the feelings already: trust as well as respect. Now we have affection, care, guidance, reverence, glory, gratitude, and love. They're defined over here. I am not going to read this. Rather, I would like to say that all these feelings are applicable, or they have relevance in a student-teacher relationship in one sentence. Right? We can have examples of that in maybe during the discussion time. So these are taken from the book by R.R. Gaur and R. Asthana. Okay, a foundation course in human values and professional ethics, which I have learned recently. Yeah, some of the teaching methods I'm going to conclude within say a couple of minutes. Some of the teaching methods which we have. I mean, this is all these circles which are surrounding the central circle are known to us. One-to-one training. It is what is happening in the laboratory. Demonstration with articles. We do that for drawing classes in the drawing classroom or in the laboratory. We do that. Student seminar. Sometimes we make the students to make their own seminar. During the online class, what I am doing right now is more than the tests, I'm giving the assignments. And in every class, at least a couple of students have to make a small presentation of the recap of the previous class meeting. Okay. Industrial visits, very important, extremely important. It is not your pleasure trips. You can add that also to the trips, but industrial visits should be there as part of their say curriculum. It has to be made part of the curriculum for sure. E-learning is what is happening right now. Group activities, tutorials. These are the kind of things which we have been doing in the online, offline say activities. But the conventional lecture, the eye contact lecture from one teacher to many students is standing at the center. This is only my opinion. I consider that kind of a teaching as a prime thing. But of course, others are supplementary. All these things are supplementary. All the kind of e-learning which we are doing right now are also supplementary. You cannot teach a professional degree with only e-learning, with only online. You have to have supplements. How do you teach survey, for example? How do you teach, say, some of the testing methods like Sankar Finch's laboratory testings? How do you teach soil mechanics laboratories? Some of the experiments, like for example, say the unconfined compressive strength. How do you test that? How do you test your shear strength of soil without, say, through an online, say, mode? Difficult. So conducting all those laboratories is like imparting some skills to the student. You cannot just show a telescope online and say that this is the survey instrument, and with this we are measuring this, that. Not sufficient. They have to touch the equipment, they have to feel the equipment, and they have to do the experiments by themselves. Then only they feel it. Okay. Some of the adverse situations which we are usually facing. So I don't stop here for much of the time. So within a few seconds, we will skip over this. So students may disturb the class. How do you tackle such situations? There is no one-word answer to this. You have to have an approach which is based on the universal human values. So go for all those 9 feelings which were prescribed in the previous slides. So based on them, based on affection, based on say care, based on guidance, based on love. Love is a universal human value. That is the the fundamental value is trust for sure, and the universal value is love towards the end. So you have to have all those kind of feelings in your mind while tackling the students' disturbance, the students' interruptions, and interruptions from others also. Some teachers may get agitated if somebody is knocking on the door, because we are doing something and something is happening outside, so they may get agitated. But this also can be taken care of very effectively if you go by the universal human value way. Mobile ring, very common. You can permit the students use a mobile in the class, not for ringing, not for WhatsApp, not for Facebook. But sometimes what I am doing is, whenever this say multimedia mobiles are available and the students started to bring them into the classroom, I started WhatsApp group. I started throwing this class notes, things like that, through their WhatsApp group and other means. So they are permitted to use the mobiles in the classroom, but for educational purpose, for academic purpose. So they have been using it. Somebody may use it as calculator also, but not for the examination, only in the classroom. How do you handle latecomers? Latecomers may be late because of many reasons, so you have to tackle it. depending upon the situations. Sleeping students, somebody may sleep for several reasons. So you cannot blame them. It is not because your class is boring, but because of some other thing which they had in their previous day. You do not know what happened to them already. The role of a teacher. Teacher has to be a mentor. Well, definitions given here. I'm not going to read out all these things. He has to be an educator. He has to be a guide. He has to be a counselor. The meaning of counselor has been explained by Mahadevan Professor very excellently yesterday. I listened to that. He was telling that a counselor is not an advisor. They are two different persons for sure. Well, this is the internal definitions of mentor, educator, guide, and counselor. But I consider, say, these as the roles of a teacher. Sometimes we have to be an entertainer also. Sometimes we have to be a friend. Sometimes we have to be a counselor. So we have to learn all these roles. During our experience, we will learn for sure all these roles. Nobody need to teach you kind of counseling. Nobody need to teach you kind of guidance and mentorship, etc. And what is a friend? We know what is a friend for sure. We know what is entertainment for sure. So whatever we are doing inside the class should be like an entertainment for the students also. How can you make it? I have a teacher, so I have plenty of examples coming to my mind, but there is no time for that, so I'm not going to go to those kind of examples. But do we need to keep the pyramid like this or the other way? I would like to keep the pyramid like this. So the settling down thing or the foundation should be like that for a mentor. This is the role which should be at the bottom, or the basic role of a teacher. Guidance should be given with the next priority. Education, rather teaching, is coming here. Counseling is coming here. And friend and counselor, these two are very close to each other. So you cannot even have a line between them. Entertainment, entertainer. Teacher also should be an entertainer for the student. It is not doesn't mean that you have to sing a song in the class, you have to dance in the class, nothing like that. But whatever you are doing, like you can tell stories also, you can tell your experience. That is also kind of an entertainment in the classroom, is it not? So this is something which research in teaching. That is another slide which I prepared for some other purpose. So books, subject matter, explanation through experience. This we have discussed already. Motivate the students to ask why and how. This is very important in the classroom. Why and how. Prepare to respond positively. Right. Then application-oriented learning is required as far as we are concerned. From my experience, we have to relate to examples around us. That is what I told you just now. The buildings around us, the machines around us, the gadgets around us, and the electrical towers kind of things around us. We have to involve the students in faculty projects. Many of the faculty members will be doing projects, so we have to involve them also into this. And we have to make them socially committable. Encourage students to seek solutions to real problems through technological interventions. Industrial field services are very important in teaching and learning. So we have to think out of syllabus and do more research to improvise our teaching and learning process. But many of you are doing this for sure. This is some of the aspirations, rather intentions of teachers for research. So nowadays, everybody is doing their PhD. Why? If we ask why, somebody may tell that promotion. Yeah, that is standing on top. Is it for my colleagues' work, by generating interest, or social needs, or passion, or some other outcome? Right. So just included because this was a discussion. Slide included for research also. Somebody may go for promotion. Somebody may go for their passion as research. All right. So I would like to conclude with what is coming in this slide and the coming one. These are some of the typical, say, teaching tips which I could tell you. Only from my perspective, we have to have rapport with the disciples or the students, introduce a subject and the objectives. Not all on a sudden, but we can start from a story. We can start from an application, which they are also very familiar with. Not a very complicated application, but something which is very familiar to them. Whether a structure needs to be statically indeterminate or determinate, these things, you can just give some examples of that and why it is designed as statically indeterminate. All these things you can explain with the help of that structure before you actually go into the analysis procedure. That is only an say example. Recap, we can make the students to give the recap, or you can also give a recap of the previous session within say 2 minutes or 3 minutes in the initial phase of your class. Then check the entry behavior. You can check whether say the prerequisites are met with by the students. Adopt teaching methods like lecture, one-to-one, group discussion, tutorials, etc. effectively and judiciously. You can add industrial visits as part of this. Use of teaching aids, board and marker, presentation with OHP, etc., etc. Or you can use videos also, active demonstrations. check the level of understanding of disciples and their demands. Well, if the demand is not there, you can stop your teaching. That is better, right? Because the syllabus is prepared by somebody else, the question paper is prepared by somebody else. You are forced to, but you are forced to evaluate the answer script. That is what is happening in our affiliated college system, right? But this has to be, maybe there should be some kind of a freedom to be given to the teachers. That is what I envisage. Encourage disciples to search and share information in the classroom itself. Whatever you are teaching, you can also ask them to be part of your teaching. They can also collect information and they can share, because now information is available at their fingertips. And then the class has to be concluded with a summary. Many of us are doing the same procedure, but I just summarize this as for completeness of this lecture, right? So I conclude my talk with these statements by eminent teachers and scientists. These are known to us for sure. Albert Einstein said, if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. Well, German writer C.W. Saran said, genius is the ability to reduce the complicated to the simple, applicable to teaching for sure. American professor John Henrik Clark said, a good teacher, like a good entertainer, first must hold his audience attention. That is what is rapport. Entertainment is coming over here, you see. And then he can teach his lesson. And finally, this statement, American writer William Arthur Ward said, the mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, and the great teacher inspires. So very famous quotes, which everyone also knows. So I don't think I explained something new as far as this group is concerned, because all of us are teachers. These are only some of the suggestions, some of the experience which I try to include in that. And these are my certain concluding remarks with regard to this lecture, only for its completeness. So I have summarized all these things, like the intention is same for everyone. We have to be role models, inspirer. We have to be open-minded. Preparation up to date and class control should be there. Help to improve the competence of students. This is very important. We have to improve the competence of our disciplines. Handling adverse situations. We have to hold the 9 feelings. Holding on to the 9 feelings, we have to handle all those kind of adverse situations. Methods, approaches which we are using in teaching should be effective as well as innovative. It will change for sure. Now the situation is going to change. Online, offline, combined method of teaching is going to come for sure, right? Need of research in teaching is required, and typical tips in teaching are also being put forth as a set of suggestions. Thank you very much for your patient listening, and I think I have taken some extra time. I'm very much sorry about that. So if you have some questions or discussion, we can have it right now. Thank you. Thank you very much. I thank Professor Mahadavan Pillai sir, my teacher, for inviting me to this program, and I thank everyone for the patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sunil. It was a very informative session. Since we are very close to our working hours ending, only 1 or 2 minutes we are able to spare for questions. So 1 or 2 people, if they are having some questions, they can share, they can ask. Okay, anyone who wants to ask a question immediately, please proceed with. At this fag, they will be hesitant to ask questions, being afraid that it may get extended because the buses are waiting. Okay.
Oh, I see. I did not know that. You would have told me.
Because our session was up to 4:15. It exceeded 10 minutes. Doesn't matter. That much.
So which one is which one is the best experience? Which one is the worst experience you have faced so far, sir?
In terms of teaching and learning, I cannot say a specific experience is worst or a specific experience is best so far. All are experiences only. So we say, what we can say is whatever we are having, usually we define success and non-success, or rather failure. Right.
Can I say this not experience, incident? Can I say this incident? Any incident?
With regard to teaching?
Worst incidents happened so far? You are teaching.
There are absolutely no worst incidents, I would say. But one thing I would say, because you asked the question, I can say one thing, that when I discuss the matter of teaching, the kind of students who are coming to the campus right now, with one of my professors in IAC Bangalore, after my PhD, I visited the campus after a couple of years after my PhD. So I discussed the matter with one of my professors. He was the chairman of the department at the time. I asked him, sir, the students, so he asked me just a casual question. So how are your students? How are your teaching going on? And I told him, sir, the students who are coming are not good. Usually we say that the entry behavior is not good. So whatever we are doing is fruitless. He said, no, Sunil, you cannot say like that. It has been like this for generations. That is actually a light which is blowing in my head. It has been like this for generations. Even if you take the case of ISC or IIT or anywhere, the students are like this. But you have to do whatever you are supposed to do, and that you have to continue also. The students will remember you for sure. Whatever you say, that they will remember your say. Maybe it may be a single sentence. It may be a single say a subject which you are telling. Maybe a small thing which you are telling, but that spark will be there in their mind, and that may grow like a tree after maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 20 years, maybe some other. So even if say in a class, I feel like, as you said, kind of the so-called bad experiences. I mean, I also have so-called, but I never consider them as bad experiences. Students say fighting in the class, other kind of things have happened, but I never consider them as bad experiences. And I believe all my students 100%. I believe all of them. This is also one of my teachers told, or rather one of my colleagues told in 22 years back, that you, Sunil, the first advice which I have to give you is that never believe your students. I was surprised. What is this guy telling? Never believe your students. No. Even now I couldn't actually. That is not at par with my natural acceptance. So I never believed that, and I never accepted that. You can believe everyone for sure, but the competence is what makes the difference. So whatever experience you have, maybe the students may quarrel with you. The students may call you with some nicknames. The student may say sometimes they may not manhandle you. That's a different thing. So, but they may quarrel with you. They may do this, do that, do that. But that is also an experience, and that is because of the lack of competence. You can change that. In several occasions after quarrel, the students came back to me and told me that, sir, whatever I did was wrong. Without my persuasion, they came back and told me this. I can also, so now plenty of incidents are coming to my mind. But say a couple of days before, one student say WhatsApped me telling that, sir, during the online Viva examination, I did a mistake. I realized that at that time itself that he was using a like kind of a headphone like this, and he was actually transferring the question to some other student, a bright student, and he or she was answering it, and he was repeating the answer. So I could hear even the voice of the other student also, but I never told him that you are cheating, right? But he realized that that's a mistake, and he came back to me a couple of days before, and he told that so that was a mistake. I told, this is good, you understood it. That is the kind of thing you are supposed to do, and you give me a promise that you never will repeat kind of activities in future. He promised me, and now things are going on just like that. Because it's, in online, say many a times cheating can happen, but there are measures to overcome that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Professor, I am Dr. S. from Computer Science Department. So I am really appreciating your presentations. The words, definition, what you have put in your presentation is universally acceptable. Because the universe, we must thank the AICT for introducing this word universal human value, because today the society is lagging the universal human values. Because moreover, in all the institutions and organizations, we are running behind the money. Money makes the world. We are believing that money is the primary piece. So that's why we are reducing our human values. So you rightly pointed out the word right values. In most of the egoistic character, we start from the under-evaluation or over-evaluation. So that leads to the avoiding self-respect, and it is spoiling the mutual respect. Where the mutual respect is spoiled, there politics will be created, and that will be the bad experiences. So the human value is the only replacement for making an environment be happy and making all the human beings to be happy. So that is a universal truth. But unfortunate thing is, even reported that the IIT professor, they made a quarrel between them, because the IIT professor, they doesn't learn the universal human value during their college days. It's a lagging process. Still, the Indian society, Indian education system is lagging with universal human value, particularly for professional courses. They are lacking universal human value. So that's why the people believing and corporate making us to believe the money is the only primary piece. So you are rightly pointed out, Professor. So thank you for your wonderful presentations and merit. Even ACT now is making it mandatory for teaching in not only for the teaching, even for non-teaching also, we need to make it as a mandate. So that they will also understand self-respect, what is mutual respect, everything. Every administration level, they must know what is self-respect and mutual respect. So really, it is a very wonderful presentation. So thank you, and I'm really appreciating excellent speech. Thank you, Professor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your nice words and kind words. Thank you.
So I think since our time is almost over, we are unable to continue the discussion further. I'm so much thankful to Dr. Sunil Kumar for providing a very informative session to our teachers. And I'll request one of our teachers to express the formal vote of thanks, because I only welcomed you. And our vice principal is available on the screen. Are you on the equipment right now, Dr. Kishore? Because he has been involved in some other meetings also. That's why I'm not sure. So I'll ask someone else. Shweta, please express the vote of thanks to our guest. Formal vote of thanks to our guest. Shweta is not available. Shweta has left the meeting. Okay. So when I was talking, they were, I think someone available can then, because all are in the leaving spree because they have to catch the bus or go out. I think Swati has joined back. Swati, you please express a word of thanks to Dr. Sunil Kumar. Swati is
Good
there.
evening, sir.
Yes. Right. Yes.
I would like to thank Dr. Sunil Kumar M, Professor of Civil Engineering, Cochin University, for a wonderful session. And also, I would like to thank our beloved principal and also all the HODs present here and the faculty, my colleagues. Thank you, everyone.
So thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Sunil. You have given a very highly informative lecture and sparing your time from the working day. Thank you very much. And we will be in touch. Okay then.
Okay, sir.
Right.
Thank you very much once again.
Right.
It's my pleasure.
Bye to all of you.
Yeah.
Right. Bye.